why is property investing, why does it matter to professionals? I really want to promise you something, that property is such a wealth equalizer. Slee and I laugh about it over dinner, that it is such an equalizer. You know, when we are talking about wealth and property deals, we will be talking to somebody who is a cleaner somewhere, but owns several properties and has done a strategy that we haven't done. Property doesn't care whether you're rich or poor. It doesn't care about color, and it doesn't care how much you earn, actually. So our exclusivity of being professionals actually doesn't matter, right? Property is also transferable. There is nothing as solid as leaving a house to your children. Or when your grandmother passed on and she left somewhere where your uncles and aunts live and your mom can go back to, and what you call a family house. So unlike your job, unlike my title, there's no way I can leave my MBCHB and being a doctor to my daughter. Forget about that, right? So property is transferable. One property you can walk away with 16,000, another property you can walk away with 98,000. You can create the cash flow that you want while you work your 9 to 5 job. Promise you that much. And keep the lifestyle that you absolutely want to be in. So you can choose, actually. You can choose what you want, what cash flow you are looking for, right? And then capital appreciation is another great one. We like it and then we don't like it. The home that I live in, absolutely, I wanted to have capital appreciation because I bought it several years ago. It's over 20 years old. But when they evaluated, it is way much more than the 900,000 that I bought it for. That is what capital appreciation means. If I were to sell today, let's say it is about 2 million today or 2.4 million, and which is something that you can use effectively. And that appreciation is important. You can use it to fund university for the kids. You can roll it over and go and buy another property. You can use it for your portfolio expansion. What else do we like about property? It's a tangible asset, something that you can touch and feel, and you can use it over and over. It can give you back money. You just need to know how. Some people go and buy a bigger house and they think there is something that they can leverage. We're going to talk about what that leverage looks like and how to use it. Property investing is also tax efficient. There's a way of structuring your property business, because the minute you buy more than one property, you are in the property business. You are not just buying properties that you own in your name. And once it is in a company, then you are able to use it cleverly. What does that mean? Right now, in your 9 to 5 job, your money, let's say you earn 30,000, it is taxed before it hits your pocket, right? But when you are in a property business or any business, most businesses, what's going to happen is you're going to spend it. You're going to pay the levies, you pay for the petrol, you pay electricity, you buy the Wi-Fi, and then the taxman only taxes what's left in the bank. So there's something about property investment vehicles that you can use that are tax efficient. Basically, it is not the income that you earn that makes you rich. I know people sit there and think all professionals, oh, she's an accountant, oh, she's a lawyer, oh, she's a doctor, oh, obviously they have got lots of money. Necessarily not. It is not the income that really determines how wealthy you become. It is how you use the income that will determine how wealthy you can become. Slee, is there anything else I should cover here?
No, I think you've covered it perfectly. And I
Yeah.
like where you ended off to say that it's not how much you earn, because you find people who are in high income jobs but are broke at the end of the month. They don't have anything. And then you find low income earners who are able to save money. And I've found this, with the domestic workers or the helpers that I've had, they are so good at saving that
I
even if
know.
I get jealous when they've been putting this money aside. And so you find that people who are in high income jobs just don't have the skills to be able to make that money and to multiply it. We are very good at knowing how to spend the money, but we don't know how to multiply it and how to keep it. And I think it's partially because of the schooling system. I think we've mentioned this in the past around how, in most careers, you are taught how to do that particular job. You're an IT specialist, you're a marketing person, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you are whatever. Um, you're a mechanic, but nobody teaches you how to make and keep your money. You just got thrown the deep end, you've got this high income job, and all of a sudden you just get trapped in this lifestyle of having to keep up with what people believe somebody of your caliber should be doing, which leads me on to the next slide, which speaks to, what are some of the things that are holding us back. And these are the things that we need to be honest about, as people, to say, for an example, we prioritize immediate gratification over long-term investment. We want that car now. We want that house now. We want, all these, we want to do all those holidays now. And whatever money comes in soon gets absorbed by all this lifestyle that we've created for ourselves. And we feel trapped to such an extent that even if you want to leave your job, no matter how miserable you are, you can't leave because now you think, how am I going to sustain this lifestyle that I've created for myself? And in most cases, because your income doesn't keep up with the demands of your lifestyle, you end up having to substitute that with debt. You're not thinking, how can I earn more money so that I can continue to have the lifestyle that I want? Yes, it's sometimes you may be easy to switch jobs or to get promotions, but those are few and far between. So now when you've got this graph, which is going one way in terms of your expenses, and it's either stable or going the opposite direction in terms of your income, you've got that gap, which then most people actually then finance using lifestyle debts. And when you've got lifestyle debts, it tends to be more expensive because it's credit card, it's personal loans, and all of that then takes away from your ability to start creating wealth, because all you're doing is just keeping your head above the water, right? And then the other thing is that we are afraid of downscaling. As I said earlier, you've created this trap for yourself. Honestly, nobody cares. We think people care, but they don't. People have got a lot of their own problems out there. Really, if you were to stop driving that fancy car and downgrade, people might look, they might stare, they might whisper, but at the end of the day, we all have our own issues, and they don't know your struggles, and they don't know what you want to achieve, and they don't know what sacrifices you're making and what your end goal is. But because we're so eager to please people, because we're so eager to keep up pretenses, we're afraid of downscaling, such a point that in some instances the bank even comes and repossesses your things, whereas you could have just downscaled and saved yourself the trauma of going down that route, right? Now you're having the bank has to force it for you, right? And then the other thing is that we are afraid of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship means that starting a business or doing something extra for money.
Yeah.
We are made to believe that having a high profile job is the ultimate success indicator. If you have a colleague who's selling acha or the perfume or forever living or whatever, it's looked down upon. It's like, oh, how can you? Meanwhile, that person has got expenses. Maybe that money covers, money for petrol to go for the month. It covers bread money. It covers something. But now, because you are so afraid of selling and you're so afraid to pull yourself out there, that you end up not really creating those opportunities for you to earn extra income, which even if, let's say, your income and your expenses were exactly equal, but now if you just had a little bit more, you would be able to start investing. But now you're afraid to do all of those things because it's frowned upon. And then the other thing is that we believe that education is the only way to earn additional money. Yes, it does help, but I find that what we tend to do is when we are frustrated in our jobs and we feel like we're not progressing, the only thing we know how to do is, let me do another course, let me do a postgraduate, let me do a short course. And yes, those things do help ultimately, but then sometimes they don't immediately turn into immediate income for you. So, and you might find that you are actually going down the wrong path, maybe doing a wrong course that doesn't actually end up giving you direct income. And I'll speak for myself as well. When I was frustrated in my job and I felt like I wasn't going anywhere in terms of my career, the only solution I thought of was to go and do my postgrad. I did a postgrad diploma in business management, and then I did my MBA because I thought it would be the magic pill that would fix my income. It didn't happen, it didn't happen immediately. The skills I learned, I can't, dispute that. But in terms of the income that I got from my job, it was not like a graph that spiked. So that's the other thing that we believe that, education is one of the ways that we can earn an income. Then you go and you study further, then you don't get the job, you don't get the promotion, then you get frustrated. And then the other thing is that we believe that our primary residence is enough as an asset, right? So when I pass away, I'm going to leave this home for my children. Firstly, you might find that your children maybe don't want to live in that area, or maybe they don't want to live in that area. They don't want to take care of it like you did. And this is the only asset that you've got. So we need to start thinking beyond just your primary home. Yes, it's important. We all want to start there at the very least, but it is not the only thing that you can live for your children. You can also have assets that support that, so that even if they don't have jobs or an income or whatever, maintaining that household does not become a burden for them. Because you'll find that what happens is, in these family homes, yes, the home is there, but then nobody wants to take care of it. The maintenance goes out the roof, nobody pays for the municipality. But even if at least there was an income that would sustain that household, then that's something else. And I'll make an example with my family as well. I'm a back room at home, and when my mom passed away, those rooms are the income from those rooms. It kept us going. We paid for the municipality, paid for food, paid for electricity. So that helped, even though my mom's salary had come to an end and we still had our family home. But now the rental income is what really kept us afloat, because if we had our primary home but no income, it would have been a serious problem. So those are just some of the things that I think are the mistakes that stops us from investing, and not even thinking about our pension. We think it's gonna be enough. We leave that to our employer. We think they've got our best interest at heart. You don't even know when was the last time that you checked your pension fund statement. Is it even sufficient for you for your retirement? All we are concerned about is dying and having, some of us having 2-3 funeral policies, and then that's it. But why are we leaving the most important thing? And research is showing that we're living longer and longer, yet at the same time, we're not planning for, if I'm going to live for 20 years after retirement, how am I going to survive at the current increase in the cost of living? Is my pension enough? And as we job hop, we chow those pensions as well, So let's think about that as well, that you need to, if you think, okay, if you start earlier in your career or 10 or 20 years down the line, and you start buying an asset that will be able to give you additional income over and above the pension that you've got. So you're not subsidizing the pension, you're adding on top of it. Part of the reason why maybe some of the people don't invest in properties, that they get overwhelmed, because there are many strategies to choose from, and there are many considerations that you need to bear in mind when choosing a strategy, right? From your interest. What are you interested in? Some people won't touch Airbnb, like no matter how you convince them, they're like, Andizi, mark me absent, no say. There are people who say student accommodation, I can't deal with teenagers. There are people who say downtown CBD, you miss me, please. People who say township and dizzy, mark me absent. And then there are things that you need to consider, such as how much money have you got. There are some strategies that require a whole lot more money than others. And then how much time have you got? How intensive are they in management? If you're buying, for example, a single family unit, which is like a flat or a home, it's different to buying a student accommodation of 100 beds. That's more intensive. So that also impacts the strategy that you choose. And also whether you want to invest actively or passively. Some people say, you know what, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know about tenants and what and what and what. Me, I love money and money loves me. And this is the relationship we have. So I'm going to send my money soldiers out there to go and do the work for me. And they're going to come back with money babies. And that is what they sign up for. And that's okay. You can also do that. There's your REITs, there's your easy properties, there's your shares, there's a property stokvel. There's many things where you can literally send your money off to work, and then when you continue with your career or job or business or whatever it is that you do while your money is the one that does the work for you. Those options are also there for you. So you need to understand, bearing all of these factors in mind, where are you in terms of that?
Property requires 3 ingredients: time, the real crucial resource for planning and executing your strategy, whichever one you've chosen out of the many ones that Slee has just shown you. 2, money. Financial resources are always needed. They are necessary for buying, for collaborating with others, for putting together a deal. I've got a small deal, big deal, medium deal with Slee, with other people, because at some point I only have 5,000. Then I just buy shares. At some point, I have 20,000, then I contribute to the stokvel. At some point, I've got 100,000, then I am able to pay for my own transfer costs and buy a property. The third and most crucial as well is the skill. Yeah, the ability and the expertise of knowing this is right strategy, this is right property, and this is right area, and this is how I'm going to turn it into money, and this is how much money it's going to turn. So there's a whole due diligence thing. You have to count how much money am I going to make and how am I going to make from this property, and is it the right area? So you can use any combination of these to create wealth. And the more efficiently you use them, the wealthier you can become. And why we tell you this is because you are a professional just like us. Most of us here will tell you the first thing is, I don't have time. My job demands 7 to 7. Yesterday, I slept at 11:45 because I had work to do and I knew I wanted to prepare for this workshop. And this is what I do, right? Sometimes on a Sunday morning, I'm waking up to work. I don't have free time. So sometimes you have money, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have more time. Sometimes for professionals, generally, time is at a premium. And then we are moms, and then you are performing at a management level at work. How are you going to balance these things? There's nothing like a balance. We are just saying we're going to teach you how to do a combination of these so that you can still do what you do and be a mom and a parent and a wife and a professional and do all of it and build your wealth on property.
You want to invest in property without quitting your 9 to 5 job? You can. And we can show you how to do this through our mentorship program. We are currently in the middle of our current group of mentees, but we'll be opening up intake soon. Right, so what to expect then in the mentorship? We are covering everything from giving the right mindset for investing, because it's very important. We cover how to make sure that you choose the right strategy that's suitable for you, the area, how to identify investment areas, how to identify a profitable investment property, how to manage it so that you make sure that you make a profit, and just generally providing the support and that you need from not only ourselves but also our power team members who have been carefully chosen to ensure that your property investing journey is successful. Join the waitlist. The link is in the bio.
Are you in? Give me a thumbs up if you are in. So, do you want to take that, Slee?
Okay, I can do that.
You do it. I like it when you do it.
Okay. So I think I've mentioned that I'm a wife. I've got 3 children. I run Sakisi's property stokvel, which is a very big stokvel, and I've got our own personal family business portfolio, and I've got a demanding job. So it's a lot, right? So for me, where it started was 5 years ago. I remember going on a date with my husband and saying, I want financial freedom. I never want to be, and this was after I got upset with the whole MBA thing, because I saw that it didn't translate to money. And I was like, I'm never going to put my destiny in anyone's hands ever again. I want to own my own destiny. I want to determine my own paycheck. I want to determine the terms upon which and how I work, right? Because as the saying goes, he who feeds you owns you, right? So as long as you're still at the mercy of somebody, you are never going to be truly wealthy. So the important thing is for you to make the decision that I want to be wealthy. And secondly, that you're deserving of being wealthy, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that I did was to conduct a time audit to say, how am I using my time? And at the time, I was telling Miranda when we were preparing this, that I was a big fan of these soapies. Back then, I think it was Generations, this thing, can't remember all of them now. But I made a choice to say, cut, 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 cut. I'm not watching those things anymore because now when I come back from work, yes, fine, we are tired and we want to use this brain numbing activities, but you're spending 3-4 hours just sitting there, wasting time watching TV. Everybody's making money from you, from the producers, the actors, the TV station, the advertisers. You are the only person who's not making money from this activity. So I said, any activity that doesn't pay me, I'm going to start cutting. So then it changed how I spent my time, right? So for example, instead of driving to work, I'm fortunate enough to have been using the Gautrain. So I use the Gautrain so that I can read books, I can listen to podcasts. If I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts. So then in the morning, at least I'm getting something. Then lunchtime, I stopped hanging out with colleagues who are busy gossiping. I'd eat by myself, quick 5 minutes. Then I'm on my laptop or on my phone, looking for opportunities, making appointments, doing something. In the evening, when I get home, quickly put my children on a routine that 8 o'clock, they're in bed, which then gives me time to do things in the evening. So you need to be really brutal about where are you spending your time so that you can create the time, because time is not going to be the same. And I always say that Beyonce has the same 24 hours, like me, like all of us, but she does so much and she's able to leverage her time effectively by prioritizing important things, deciding this is not worth doing, outsourcing, all of those things. When you realize how much your time is worth, you will stop giving it away so easily, right? So you start being brutal and saying, this thing, cut, right? So another thing is, what are some of the tasks that we're doing either at home or at work that we really shouldn't be doing? You are being overworked, and when you just keep accepting it because you think you're going to get promoted. If you can't finish your work in the 8 hours it's allocated to, it means that it needs someone else. And if you don't put up your hand, they will continue giving it to you. So be brutal and say, I'm sorry, I couldn't finish the work because, sorry, it was 5 o'clock, it's chilly, I gotta go. So you gotta be brutal about that, even at work. And I know as women, we wanna be superheroes, we wanna do everything. Get help. Even if somebody comes once a week to clean and whatever and do your want, just find ways of outsourcing things that don't create value for you. You can't be spending your whole weekend cleaning. Let's just be real, to say, really, can I not supervise someone? How are you using, what are your entertainment choices? Where are you spending your time? Who are you spending the time with? What are you guys talking about? Like I said, I stopped, this office gossip and, the manager sucks. This one is the boss's favorite, yada, yada, yada. I was like, this thing does not serve me. I'm out. And then the other thing that we tend to do as well is to volunteer at work for things that don't add to our bottom line. Where now you are the baby shower organizer, bridal shower organizer, any random old task, make us tea, do this, go. No, guys, it doesn't add to our bottom line unless you see that this is a strategic project that's going to either give me a promotion or expose me to the right people. Don't stop volunteering for random things because they're taking away from the time that you should either be buckling down in terms of your career or looking at how you actually create wealth, right? Another mentioned is just having a routine for yourself, your family, and all of that is also important. So these are just some of the things that, once you start having an awareness of your time, so quantify your time, look at how much salary you are earning, right? And then break it down into an hour. So before you do a task, think about, this is costing me 200 Rand. This is costing me 500 Rand to sit here and watch TV. then you think differently about money.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my morning commute. It takes me 45 minutes to drive 18 kilometers. There's never a time when there is no podcast. I don't care what Trump does, guys. He doesn't put money into my pocket. That's it. So, yeah, he's still gonna do what he does. All right, let's go on to the second arm of the triad. When you do not have money, let's just check. How are you using this money? Yeah. Where are you currently spending the money unnecessarily? So we were talking about this with Slee. We talk about it all the time since the time we met 5 years ago, that doesn't mean you mustn't have luxury items, but you must be able to afford the luxury item before you buy the luxury item, guys. So if you're taking it away from your salary and you are spending 40,000 on a car, you absolutely, from your salary, you absolutely can't afford that car, that's for sure, right? So, but if you've bought an asset, a property that gives you 58,000, you can absolutely buy a car that you pay 40,000 rents from and be left with 18,000, still some change to put petrol and to buy the tire when the run flat goes flat. Yeah. So that's how we do it. So sometimes you won't have enough money. Which debit orders are holding you back? Or what debt is holding you back? If your credit card is financing your lifestyle every month, you've got an extra 20,000 from the credit card, but the credit card charges you 26,000, 26%. You are spending money in places that you shouldn't be spending it. Is this lifestyle that you have right now, if it's being paid for from your current income and it throttles you, you absolutely cannot afford that lifestyle? Ask me, I know, right? Because I'm a medical doctor, I'm expected to eat at particular places, to go to certain hotels, and to drive a particular car, right? And I've refused, right? I've refused the lifestyle of the car because I know exactly how I'm going to generate the next 20,000 so that I can buy a particular car. So don't be afraid to do that cut we are talking about. And what percentage of your money is going towards wealth building? Even if you didn't buy a property today and today is payday, did you put away 10 to 15% into shares or a savings account, your emergency fund? If you're not doing that and you do not have the 10% of your salary going somewhere for wealth building, it means that money is not rolling over and it's not building anything. If every one single cent of your 30,000 salary just gets to be taken by going out to restaurants, buying the milk and peanut butter and bread and whatever, we need to find a way of fixing that. And the money audit is such a tough thing to do because it requires you also to learn what other people are learning. I was sharing on another platform on Facebook that I found a debt repayment app. Slee, I didn't even share that with you. I found it on Sunday and I put in the debt that I am trying to accelerate to get out of the way. And this particular app, it actually calculates to say, if you pay this much in the next 7 months, you'll be done with debt number one. In the next 15 months, you'll be done with debt number two and whatever. Find things like that. That's how you know where your money is going. Monitor your money, right? And emergency savings fund, I don't even want to talk about that because these kids, my dear, they will break a leg on a day where it is so inconvenient. It's the 15th, or they are going to a basketball tournament in Durban, and suddenly you are required to pay 8,000 just out of the blue on the 15th when it's not payday. Have you reviewed your insurance policies, by the way, people? It's 2025. The car you have does not need to be paid for insurance that you had last year. It's a year older. Immediately it's January, they add a year. Whether you bought it in January or in October, please go back to whoever your blue, red, pink insurance company, review that, because there's additional 50 rands, 150, 200 rands that you are spending not in the place that you should. Do you have access to assets that we can use to show you how to build wealth? Your mom passed and left you a house in the township that is not mortgaged. You have an asset there. Your house that you bought 3 years ago, 5 years ago at 700,000, and today it is worth 1.2 million. You already have an asset there. There is some play that we call equity that you can take out of that house and go and invest in the next property. Yeah, your primary residence. And these family houses, Lord have mercy on us. Can we use them as assets? It's not something to fight over, guys. It is something that you can build on. Yeah. And we can refinance. Sometimes some of us have got these big, gorgeous houses and there's 2 cottages on the outside, but we are so precious about our residences that, oh, I don't want other people here. Hello, you're sitting on money. Can we Airbnb that cottage? Is it sitting pretty somewhere in Randburg, somewhere in Lone Hill, and you've got a cottage and your kids are off to university? Can we use that for Airbnb? Can you start generating 30,000? So there are things that you can do that you are sitting on today, right this hot minute, that we can turn into money. So that was your second arm of the triad.
Yeah, so definitely these are practical things that you can immediately after this workshop you can go and do. We've already spoken about the time audit. Now we're doing the money audit. So these are all practical things that you can do that can immediately start freeing up your time, start freeing up your money, so that you can be able to start on your wealth journey, right? It's very practical things. It's things that you can do, things that are step by step, do this, do this, do this. It's not, very high level things that you don't even know after you've attended the workshop or after you've completed a mentorship program, you still feel lost. You want to be able to say, okay, I know what I need to do. Tomorrow morning, I'm calling the insurance, I'm calling the bank and asking for a rate review. By the way, we did that in our mentorship group the other day.
Yes.
And we said, guys, please just go to your bank and say, bank, I've been a good client. I've been paying for so many months. Please, can you relook at my interest rates? Even though the interest rates are declining at the moment, they still got rate reductions. So that's extra money that now in our group, we were talking to say, okay, now guys, what are we going to do with all this extra money, that's going to be coming in? Do we pay off debts? Do we use it to acquire more assets? So these are all actionable things that you can do. So the other thing you can do is to conduct a skill audit. You are earning what you are earning based on the skills that you've got. And how you obviously are able to market those skills. So it's a combination of the two, right? So how then are you investing your time and money to learn about the skill of generating, growing, and keeping money? Like, how are you keeping your information or your knowledge up to date? Are you reading? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you watching TV? Like, what are you doing to just upskill yourself about money? And as I've mentioned earlier on, that unfortunately, this is not a subject at school. It's not a module at university. And believe it or not, I did a BCom in accounting and economics. We didn't have a course or how to create wealth for yourself. They taught us how to do income statements and balance sheets, and that's other people's companies, but they never taught us how to do our own income statements and balance sheets, right? So this is something that you need to be intentional about and say, I want to learn how money works, because at the end of the day, guys, I've looked at different sports, right? There's softball, hockey, they all have their rules. And if you're just gonna come from the streets and come and play that game, you are not going to win. You're not gonna crush it. The people that do really, really, really well are the people that know the rules of the game and know how to even manipulate it. Because you'll find sometimes when you watch soccer, the guy knows that, oh, this one shouldn't have been a yellow card or whatever, and then they give a little smirk if the referee didn't notice because they knew that it should have been a yellow card. So if you know the rules, you know how to maneuver around them to your advantage. But if you're just going in blind, you know nothing about money, and then it comes to you, and that is why you find people who come across large winnings of money, they blow it because they don't know how to actually keep and grow money, right? So you need to be deliberate about saying, I want to learn about how to generate money, how to grow it, and how to keep it, right? So how are you then, creating opportunities to be surrounded by people who are in a similar situation or along the same line of thinking? If you're still with your colleagues that are busy complaining about work and the coffee and whatever else that they're moaning about, and are not having those wealth conversations, and you're not joining Facebook groups or networking events or mentorships or anything like that, where these kind of conversations are normal, you are not going to be able to to really get that knowledge embedded and get that support network that you need. So it's important that you've got the right support in terms of where are you getting your knowledge from, because you find sometimes that some of this information, maybe it's outdated, maybe it's no longer relevant, or maybe it's especially when me and Miranda, we when we started in the property business, there was not a lot of South African content that was available. So it was American based. Sometimes you're following, you're thinking this thing is interesting, then they just throw a term that now you need to go to Google, and then you've lost your way. And I think that is why I'm a big fan of their podcast. So they have a podcast, the Property Magicians podcast, and it speaks to, investing using ordinary South Africans, using things that we all understand, using when about the family houses. There's stories like Josephine, who's a domestic worker, but has got this massive student accommodation portfolio. So all of those things are relevant. And so when you're surrounding yourself with those, and those are the kind of stories that you are feeding yourself and learning from these, then you're gonna be successful. You're gonna grow your skills by learning through other people's stories as well, to say, if Uma Josephine can do it, why can't I? You know what I mean? So once you've done your assessment and you say, okay, time I've got, skills maybe, or yes or no, but I don't have money. Then you then decide on, okay, this is the right strategy for me. But maybe you've got time, but you don't have money, you don't know the skills, or you don't know where to get started. Then maybe let me start with this. That's where you find people who do like sourcing and those kinds of things, where they just or they manage other people's properties and those kinds of things because they've got the time, but maybe they don't have them to buy their own properties, right? And then you may find that maybe you just don't have the time, you're a busy person, but you've got the money, you don't have the skills. Then you then make the decision to say, okay, do I start off investing in these passive investments like the trust, the stokvel or the rates and all of that? Or do I then upgrade my skill? Or even while I'm investing in this, then I'm upgrading my skill so that I'm able to actually acquire and manage my own properties. So that is based on the triad, which you've mentioned, is essentially the building blocks of wealth. You now need to do an audit on yourself and say, where am I lacking? Where do I need the biggest support? And how then do I make sure that I set myself up for success? Because as we mentioned, your ability to leverage these things, because even if it's your money, and the thing is with property, right, a little goes a long way, right? And that is why I'm a big fan of property, because you can get a property by just putting down a small deposit, and that property can grow exponentially. Whereas, and that capital appreciation, depending on where and how you buy. Whereas in other asset classes, such as shares, you need to put in all the money yourself. You can't use what we call other people's money. So those are just some of the unique things that happen with property, in that even if you don't have the money, there are many strategies that you can use to still be able to invest in property.
Okay, Slee, you want me to do that? Yeah. All right. So how to address the gaps. So I just shared on the chat there. That was me 7, 8 years ago. I was so clear that I had no time, but I wanted to invest in property. I was so clear that I had no skill, and I knew that I wanted to invest in property because I had read somewhere that 92% of all wealthy people have got property in their asset classes. So in their wealth creation, they have got asset classes. Property here, shares here, they buy gold, and they buy other assets like jewelry or something like that, and art. So I knew that I don't have time. But my morning commute was so hectic because I lived in Soweto with my mother. My baby was still small, and I would use my time in traffic to listen to podcasts. Believe me when I say there's a podcast in the US that I listen to 396 episodes of that podcast because I created time to do it. Make time for creating wealth. And then in the evening when I come back, I would use my 5 to 9 now, right? I guess we've done the 9 to 5. Now the 5 to 9 was family time, very short, put the baby to sleep 7:30 on the dot because I've got stuff to do. That's how I registered my first company and property company to say this is going to be called Bulaneo property investing company. And I knew that, okay, so you're going to buy a property only in a company, never in my name. Okay, great. I already own my primary property. And how did I use it as well? So I would use my time as well. When I am at libraries or when I'm at exclusive books, I would page through property books just to see if I can find any South African content. Please understand your value of time. Now, guys, the time spent at funerals is just a lot for me. And we get occupied and we really think we're doing well for people going to funerals. I don't visit funerals. If I'm not close enough, I send my love, I send my flowers, or I spend the time attending the service and maybe cut the time for graveyards. I have decided that that's the economics of my time. I do not do ironing because it's one of those boring activities. Washing, I can put in the washing machine and sit down and do something else. So I don't give my time easily away, including my time for rest, right? Sundays, how do we spend our times? Where did I meet Slee? We met because we were in the same property network. We ended up doing potluck lunches at home. So they would cook one weekend, or then I would cook, and then everybody comes to my. And when we sit at table, our kids are there. We're eating lunch with our spouses, partners. But what are we talking about? We're talking about things that are going to create wealth. Stop giving away that time. Time is precious. All right. So that's how time was utilized for me. And that's how I decided I'm going to put some stop gaps so that I can utilize the time. I can't afford to resign. So I'm going to use whatever time there is, and I'm going to be very precious about it. Cool. So what about money? When money is short and when there is a shortage of money, the first thing is, let's look at those plastic cards. Which ones do we absolutely use? Maybe we use that Woolworths one to buy all the uniform for the kids. That's all right. But can you spend time now paying back that debt? Don't add on now and buy bubble bath, the one that smells like jasmine, the other one smells like vanilla. Okay, bad debt, right? So use the debt and be creative about how you're going to pay for it. And maybe Slee will tell you the first time that she did any property investment was when she actually let a friend come and live with her in her two-bedroom unit in Midrand. And she couldn't believe that, oh, suddenly, instead of paying the bank back 8,000 bucks, the tenant was paying 4,000. That means now only 4,000 came out of her professional salary. So you can. And then we talk about leveraging what is existing. I told you about the house that you are living in can be refinanced. There's something called refinancing. Refinancing is another way of raising money without going and borrowing. You are almost borrowing from yourself, from the asset that you have. Let's say you have a house, you bought it when you first started working in 20 years ago, and you are almost right at the end. And when you go and evaluate the house and the municipality does an evaluation or you can call an agent, you'll find that since you've paid out of the bond that you owed, you've paid almost half. You can almost go and borrow the whole half of that money to buy the next property. It's called refinancing. So house hacking, I've just told you, we stay in these big, huge houses, 5-bedroom house, 3 ensuite, cottage outside, 3 garages and whatever. The garage is just, yeah. I don't want to talk about a garage. It's great, no? It's great to park your car, but it's overrated sometimes when you do not have money. Or your next door neighbor actually could hire out that space in the garage and you can start earning money. So you can repurpose whatever that exists in wherever you are sitting. And no one tells us about that. This particular one, selling a non-performing asset. Very painful for most of us. We showed you the apartment that I bought in Montana. But when I was serious and set that right now I'm going to build wealth, I discovered that the apartment is not making a money. It's taking away 1,000 rands from me, 1,090 from me. I have to pay in now. We must pay the agent. Now I must pay City of Tshwane. Now I must pay Homeowners Association. When I sat down with my mentor, because that's exactly actually how it happened, I sat down with my second property mentor. He was like, this one is not going to make money, Dr. Miranda. So what are we going to do? You can take a step back for you to go forward, actually. So I had to sell that asset. Actually, it's not an asset if it's taking away money from you. So I had to do that, and I did that, and it was cut, so that we can buy the multi-let that makes money. So sometimes you have to do that, including the fancy house in the fancy suburb. Sometimes you need to backtrack and say, these 2 kids are going to university next year. When they move out of my house, we absolutely don't need a 1,000 square meter. Square meter property. I can move into a good 3-bedroomed a unit or apartment or a cluster, and they'll still have their bedrooms. But most of the time, I'm alone here. Let's cut back so that we don't have a bond of 40,000. We cut back to a bond of 22,000. I'm saving an 18,000 so that I can start building a property portfolio. So money requires a bit of unemotional cutting back. It requires a bit of things that we can sacrifice for now for a future. And when we tell you that 7 years ago, we didn't think like we think right now, 7 years is very short. We remember exactly where we met. We remember exactly how we met. We even remember exactly the conversations we had 7 years ago when we were starting out. So promise you, you are me, I am you, and you can do this. The last one of addressing how to close the gaps in the wealth triad, collaborate. When I met Slee, she knew certain things about the property stokvel that I had no idea about, absolutely nothing about. So she was my mentor for property stokvel. Remember, Slee? That's
Yeah.
part of the beginning of where we met. And collaborate means also that in the stokvel, then we bought the first property as a protest room, right? And it is about collaboration. Somebody knew at least something about raising money. And then we had a contractor who was also in the stokvel who knows how to break walls and created the student accommodation. No, we can break here and quickly, oh no, without breaking the outside walls, we don't need municipality. Okay, I'm going to shift and get the plumber to do this. And we had a house. Okay, so collaborate for the skill. You can do that. Join a network of like-minded individuals, guys. You know how we like going to these, what are those dress parties where everybody wears white? I've never done those.
All right.
All white, the all white dinner. Forgive me if you've done it, right? I'm sorry, nah? But I laugh at those things because I don't know how to do that. I went to a Catholic school. I wore uniform for too long, and Catholic schools don't play, so I don't like uniform. So anyway, how about joining an all-white dinner of property investing? Shall we do that? So we're doing an all white. And come to our events, by the way, when we host, because my goodness, there's so much education. I'm still learning. I learned so much from other people, and there was a couple at our last event, Slee, the one that I was sitting with on the side for a long time. They were in the process of buying a house. They've changed the way they want to buy the house. They've got adult kids. One of them is in matric. Now they are not looking for 3-bedroomed swimming pool with what? Because I gave them the idea that, nah, look for bigger yacht with 2 cottages, please. As you move in, there's 2 tenants that are paying your bond. They stopped right there, and they've changed what they are searching for. They gave the mandate to the agent to say, nah, we're not looking for houses just for the prettiness of it. The house must be pretty with an income. Yeah. There is a lady that I work with. Her son decided to take a gap year. And while he was taking a gap year, she was absolutely worried about my son is going to take drugs, he's going to hang out with the wrong group and whatever. And I said, give him an idea. There's something called a sourcing agent or becoming a real estate agent. All you need is less than 500 rands to register with your Remax, Rosin, whatever, these houses, these real estate houses. Do you know that the son, it was hilarious in December when she told me I sold a house for something like 3.2 million, but he was sharing it with someone. And I think the agent's fee was about 6%. So he is getting something like 180,000 from the deal. And he says, Mama, o batla ko kadime bokae?" Right? It's still real estate investing, guys. What is he investing in right now? He is with Keller Williams. Education. He's learning about property, how to register property, conveyancing, financing various modalities of cash, seller financed buying or buying through a bank. He is getting the experience of knowing areas, of choosing properties, and how to sell, because selling is a skill, guys. It's something that I don't do well. And I've accepted that I'm just me, right? So I don't do selling very well, but he is absolutely amazing. So here's a 19-year-old who was at home, and the past 6-7 months, he has learned how to cold call, how to sell a property, how to convince a buyer to buy a property. And he has made 188,000. He's even offering mom a loan. So there's lots of learning, different ways of learning, skill. And I think what holds us back as professionals is, would I be seen selling a house? Me. Or selling amagwinya? Me. No. You see what I'm talking about? So for me, I think the traveling, your brain needs and your mindset needs to move from, this is my profession and this is my cash cow. And your mind needs to travel to, I'm going to build a business parallel to this cash cow and create a business that is going to give me an income that equals my income at work, or even double or triple, because it's possible. And I see there is a lot of usage of, thank you, I learned a lot. These are proper nuggets. I want my children to learn this quite early. And I like that, because without the learning, remember that, Tina, at coffee tables and at dinners and at mesebetsi ya ko gae, nobody talks about money, right? We traditionally just don't do that. If we walk into a place and are already talking about money, but o rata tšhelete, oh, you are too much, oh, you are this, oh, you are that, oh, you are that. So where are we going to learn this? Remember, the other side of the world where other people live, the ones that we call more, that they have more and they are rich. What happens is, firstly, church service, they go to a church service, 45 to 1 hour. 45 minutes to 1 hour. When they meet together, you've seen them at Mug and Bean, they sit together, they've got plans, and they are writing things down. It is normal for them to speak about money and how you're going to make money. So they exchange ideas. Oh, yeah, no, Yani bought a farm. Oh, Yanni's going to lease land and plant some watermelons. And yeah, his uncle is going to borrow him a bakkie, blah, blah, blah. Where do we do it as Black people? We don't. Go busy corner. We do not meet there to talk about how to make the money. We are spending the money that we don't have yet. Yeah. So we need to normalize certain things. We need to learn our little corners. I don't traumatize anyone about speaking about money anymore. I just tell Slee, when I wake up in the morning on a Sunday, I'm like, Slee, there's a deal that's keeping me awake. Look at this. Because you find your own little corner. Don't traumatize everyone. It's not your duty to convert everyone. You brought yourself here. It's a Tuesday night. Some people are watching Sibaya. You can do that. You can continue doing that, or you can do this and get some knowledge.
This is a trap that a lot of beginner investors find themselves in. We've been there ourselves, because you are just told invest, invest, invest. You can't go wrong with property. Any property is a good property, and you believe the agent when they tell you that it's a good investment, right? Because we don't have the tools to be able to understand what makes a good investment and what doesn't make a good investment, and how to actually measure. Even if it's a bad investment, how bad is it? If it's a good investment, how good is it, right?
Yeah.
Because the important thing is knowledge is power, right? And as they say, you need to make your money when you buy. And if you see that this property is making a loss, and we actually have a tool that we use in the mentorship whereby you put in the numbers and you see, okay, fine, maybe my property is cash flowing negative, but how long is it going to take for me to get out of the situation? And maybe depending on how long it's going to take you to get out of the negative situation, you may say, okay, maybe just another year or two, then I'll be fine. So maybe you may keep the property. But if you see that this thing is like, it's burgundy, that's how red it is, there's no hope for you, it may be better for you just to exit that investment, sell it, cut your losses, consider it school fees. You wish that you had come across us sooner, then you wouldn't be sitting in the situation. But really consider it school fees, because a lot of people jump into this property thing without the relevant knowledge, and then they end up making mistakes like that. But unfortunately, it is school fees that some of us had to pay, and some of you might need to pay, but then at least you're taking one step back so that you can take 10 steps forward. Because the longer you stay stuck in that cash flow negative property that you are topping up 2,000, 3,000 rand every month, it's going to take you forever to get into real wealth building, because now that 3,000 rand could be going off towards a real asset that's appreciating.
I want to talk about money. Slee, what if I don't have 100,000 today, or I don't have 500,000 to buy a property, and it's just a lot, and I don't have skill? I do want to assure you that there's something called Easy Properties on Easy Equities, an app, Easy Equities, right? I had to learn that, how Easy Equities work. Where can I buy small shares of property where the share pays dividends, and you can own a piece of Sentin Hotel, a piece of an apartment block, a huge apartment block, by just investing 300 and 350. We promised ourselves that when we walk away from this workshop, everyone here is going to take some action. If you've got 300, go and find Easy Equities, and that's your first place, and stop at that, and find a YouTube video that talks about how to use Easy Equities, how to choose an equity on the Easy Equities, how to buy a piece of property on Easy Equities. The least you can do is to do something. Or you're going to find my podcast, Property Magicians Podcast. You're going to listen to episode number 25, Yama Josephine, and go and see how an ex-domestic worker earns more than you and me, Zama, and Rasiray and Keke and Buli, because her property makes something like 430,000 per month. 430, because she's got multiple students in it. So all I'm saying is do something in the triad, ne? Do something about time, do something about skill, do something about the money. Whatever you do, please do not walk away and pack this and just walk away. Promise.
You know, I did a mentorship program.
Yeah.
When was it? 2019, 2020, 2019. Yeah. You know, like I remember I told you guys that when I became serious about this thing, I said, I'm going to actually invest in a mentorship program, because I understood that in Zulu, we have a saying, "Indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili." So those who have walked the path before you, they know all the loopholes, they see even coming, you know, and they're saying, here, avoid. And really, I also share the sentiments that Ukhunti said about our mentorship program, that I believe it was money really, really well spent. You know, especially when you invest in something like that is teaching you. And as I mentioned, I come from like an accounting background. You know, I did accounting at school at varsity, but I had never been taught about how to create wealth. And so for me, that was life-changing. And I don't regret signing up for that mentorship program. I've had many other coaches and mentors in after that, where I feel like this is an area that I need assistance or guidance with. I need someone who knows what they're doing, so I don't have to figure it out and waste time. We can hit the road running quickly and be able to realize the benefit, because time, once again, is limited. And also you want to make sure that you get your best bang for buck. So the money that you spend must be able to make you money as well. So that is also important.
So now that we've had these insightful conversations and we want to be able to bring this to more people, right? So the best way to find out more about, you know, the programs that we run, our workshops, we've got live events that we do, and we also have a mentorship program. Please subscribe to our mailing list. The list will be the link will be in the description below. And if you want to get more videos like these, we'll be sharing more over the next couple of weeks. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel and switch on the notification button.